Hello, everybody. It's good to see all of you. My name is Kelsey, and I am the professional development coordinator for BirdBrain Technologies. So normally that means that I travel around the country and I teach teachers coding and robotics. Although now, during this very unusual time we find ourselves in, I get to teach teachers and parents and students via video like this today. So we've got quite a few participants with us here live on Zoom. And then there's also some participants live on Facebook too, which brings me to introduce Matt. Hi, Matt.
Hi, how you doing today, Kelsey?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today, Matt?
I'm doing well. I'm looking forward to answering some questions that are coming in from Facebook and YouTube.
That's right. So Matt is kind of the director and the producer of our show here, and also he's right back there so that he can watch on Facebook. And if anybody has any questions or comments that you want to leave live on Facebook, you can do that, and Matt will let us know what you have to say, right?
That's right.
All right, cool. So I also want to introduce some of our participants today, but really quick before we do that, I want to point out if you would really love to join our Zoom class someday and you haven't figured out how yet, that's really easy to do. You just go to birdbraintechnologies.com/robotics@home and you'll find the links to join our live Zoom classes. So anybody can join, you just have to register to do so. All right, so we're going to have some folks introduce themselves, and our icebreaker question today for anybody who is interested in it is, what is your favorite kind of pizza? How about you, Grady? Let's go down. We're going to spotlight Grady, and you can unmute yourself, Grady. You know how to do that? Yeah. And tell us your favorite kind of pizza. We can actually go off to the right and unmute you there. There we go. Oh, that was Greg.
My favorite kind of pizza, I kind of like cheese pizza, but I love pepperoni.
You love pepperoni. You're like, I can deal with cheese, but the love of my life is pepperoni, and that's who I'm sick of.
With Parmesan on it.
With Parmesan! She knows how to do it. Way to go, Grady. Who else would like to introduce themselves and say their favorite kind of pizza? How about Connor and Sophia? Let's go up to you guys. You guys can unmute yourselves.
So my name's Sophia, and my favorite type of pizza is actually one that we make at our house. It's sauce with mozzarella slices and basil on it.
Ooh, that sounds fancy. Is that called a margarita pizza, or am I just making that up?
I have no idea, honestly.
I don't either, but that sounds a delish, Sophia. How about you, Connor?
I'm Connor, and my favorite type of pizza is cheese pizza. I like it plain.
Solid choice, man. How about you, Sigrid? What's your favorite kind of pizza?
Yeah, my name is Sigrid, and my favorite kind of pizza is pepperoni black olive.
And black olive. See, I liked it, and then you ruined it. You ruined it with the black olives. We'll put black olives on half, and that'll be your half. That's good. So Grady can have one half, and you'll have the other half with black olives. Who else would like to introduce themselves? Anybody? Love to hear a couple more folks. How about Heather and Autumn? We'll spotlight you guys.
My name is. Favorite pizza is cheese.
Solid.
Yeah. I'm ham and pineapple, Hawaiian.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah. Getting exciting in the ham and pineapple world. How about Kimber? What's your favorite kind of pizza, Kimber?
My favorite kind of pizza is ham and pineapple with bacon.
You and Heather can split one. This is great. We're finding friends all across the country. And the reason, by the way, that we chose this as our warm-up question was we have our participants join about 15 minutes early, and we just couldn't stop talking about pizza. So it was the most natural thing. This is what you do in a classroom, right? Figure out what your kids are into, and you incorporate it into class. So we're going to be doing kind of two different versions of the same thing today. So this is a webinar we've done before where we've taken our little bot design. So I'm going to grab my little robot bots. There we go. So we've got our little bots here. And this is a design that we actually have a really cool video series for so that you could make this at home really easily. But we've got this robotic version and this non-robotic version. There's the robot version, turning her little head, being adorable. And then there's this non-robot version, which is more sort of human-powered, which can also look side to side and look up and down. And this one actually has a third axis where it can also raise the head up and down. So if we can go to gallery view really quick, I think we've gotten to a point, at first when we were starting these webinars, like nobody had a Hummingbird at home, but raise your hand if you do have a Hummingbird Robotics Kit at home at this point. We have quite a few people who have Hummingbird kits at home. So what I'm going to do during today's webinar is I'm going to kind of like show, kind of talk about the things that these two designs have in common, and show you how to make this one and how to make a robotic little bot. So that if you are at home and you've got a Hummingbird kit, which a lot of people have ordered them and they've got them at home now, you can make your own robot little bot. Or if you don't have a robot, you can make this non-robotic version as well. So can you guys, let's go to gallery view, and we're going to unmute everybody. What do these two designs have in common? What is the same about both of these?
I can't see one of them.
Oh, are you having trouble? Here, I'll go to my full screen one. Can you see that a little bit better, Layla? We can spotlight it too.
I can see one.
You can see one pretty well. Can you see the one with the bow tie or the one with the flowers?
Now I can see both. But
Oh, perfect. Okay, so I'll leave those right there. How about you start, Layla? What's something that this one and this one have in common? What do you think?
that they both have box heads.
Yeah,
and
they
box
both are made of.
bodies.
Yeah, they've both got a box for the head and a box for the body. That's great. What else do they have in common that you guys can see? How about you, Connor and Sophia?
So they have in common that they're both little bots, but they're both still little bots.
Yeah, they both are still pretty much little bots. They look about the same, but they've got some things that are different about them too. What else do you see that's the same about them, Kimber? Let's go to you.
Well, one thing that's different about them
Sure, that's
is only the non-robotic one can only kind of turn its head like this, but the robotic one can kind of turn this way.
Actually, this one can as well. It can turn its head side to side, so that's another thing they have in common. This one can go side to side or up and down, and it can also go up and down on like this Z axis as well. So it has like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie E.T., but E.T.'s head can kind of raise up like that. And this one has the same thing. Its head can go side to side, and it can tilt its head up and down, but it can't move its head up and down. Yeah. So if we cancel my spotlight, let's move our heads the two ways that a little bot can move their head. So let's nod your heads, yeah. That's one way a little bot head can move, and let's go no. There we go, And then the non-robotic little bot can also do this. So can you make your neck like small and then your neck tall? Very good. So the non-robotic little bot can do this as well. Like that, Secret. Yes, if you happen to have a giraffe handy, that works well too. But so let's investigate this this non-robotic little bot design, and I'll kind of show you how that works and get you started on that, and then we'll kind of bounce back and forth as we go. I'll start by showing the non-robotic one, and then I'll show the robotic one, and I'll kind of bounce back and forth as we go. Okay, so these are basically the same supplies for both projects. So you're going to want to grab two small cardboard boxes, like say a tissue box and a Pop-Tarts box. I told you guys, this is my guilty quarantine snack. You're going to see a lot of these boxes, that and tea. So you're going to want a couple of boxes. If you're making the non-robotic one, like this one, you need a paper towel tube and a pencil. But if you're making the robot one, you really just need boxes, scissors, tape, and a marker. So if you're making the non-robotic one, you'll want this paper towel tube and a pencil as well. So if I take this guy apart a little bit, I'll leave my supplies off to the side there. The very first thing you're going to want to do once you get your two boxes is decide which one's going to be the body, and you're going to cut a hole in the top and in the bottom. So if I was going to turn this one into a non-robotic little bot, I probably wouldn't want to use the side that already has a hole on it because that might be the wrong size. So I'm just going to put that on the side, and I'm going to cut a hole in the top and a hole in the bottom that my paper towel tube could fit into. So if you're making a non-robotic little bot, start there. Grab a box, cut a hole in the top, and cut a hole in the bottom, just like this one, so that you can actually look all the way through it. Okay? All right. So if you're making a robotic little bot, the first step to making, and so I'll put if you're making a robotic little bot, I'll switch this out now. You'll want to grab your body, and you don't need to cut a hole in the top and the bottom, just in one side. So we'll have to grab a motor to figure out how big to cut our hole out as. And here's my hummingbird. Excuse the bumps that you're about to hear. Bump, 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 bump. There we go. So if I grab my hummingbird kit, here we are. Then I'm going to grab, let's see, did you have a question, Aria?
No,
No?
I was just
Okay.
watching other folks work
Yeah.
while you were grabbing stuff.
Yeah, no, that's perfect, Matt. So Matt is showing us how other people are working too, which is great. So you'll want to grab out of your kit, you'll want to grab the 2 position servos. So if you've got a premium kit, they look like this and they say position on the side. If you've got a base kit, that's okay too. You'll just grab the small motors. They're the ones in the base kit are all these micro servos, and they're all position servos. So if once you've got your motor, you're going to place it on your box. And you're going to grab a marker, and you're going to trace around. You're going to want to put this little white circle here as much in the middle as you can, which means your motor is going to be kind of off center. So I don't want to place it right. I don't want to place the motor itself in the center. I want to place that little white circle as much in the center of my box as I can get it, and then trace around the outside, around the outside of my box. There we go. And then you're going to want to cut that out, and make sure you cut on the inside. So if you've got a blade, that becomes really easy to just cut. I don't want to cut on the outside of the line. I want to cut on the inside of the line. It's better for this hole to be just a skosh too small than it is for it to be too big. Or if you don't have a blade, if you've just got scissors, you can use your scissors to kind of poke through, and you can kind of cut like so. Especially if you're using chipboard, woo, that becomes pretty easy, although sometimes it'll tear. And you know what? That's okay, because we can think of this kind of as our prototype little bot today. There we go. How are we doing? All right. So you don't need to cut any other holes in the box, just the one hole. I'll put my blade away. Just the one hole so that your motor can go in there. Now I'm going to feed my motor through wires first and pop it in just like that. Now, if you guys noticed, I made my hole a little bit too big because it tore. So let's see. To make that hole a little bit smaller, if you mess up too, that's okay. That's part of engineering, to try something and say, oops, that didn't work. Let's try again. I'm going to make my hole smaller by sectioning it off with some tape to make that fit a little easier there. There we go. That's a little better. And if you want to really, if you really want to stick it in there, you can even put some hot glue right under here and right under here. And that way it'll really stay on there. So those are for the people that are making the little bot that is the robot little bot. If you are making the non-robot little bot, this guy, if you've got a hole cut in a box, show it off. I want to see the thing you cut in your box. We're going to go to gallery view. Hey, looking great, Grady. Looking great, Heather and Autumn. Yes. Now, Heather and Autumn, can I go to you guys really quick? Because I want to ask you guys a question about what you did. What kind of box is that you guys are using?
We are using a Triscuit box that used to have crackers in it.
Yep.
And
But it doesn't look like a Triscuit box. What'd you do to it?
we just put wrapping paper on it. So
That's so cool. I love that. That is really cool wrapping paper. I didn't have wrapping paper, so I just used some masking tape to cover mine up with because I didn't want it to be a Toast and Pop-Ups box anymore, which is the cheap version of Pop-Tarts, by the way. So you've got a hole cut in the top and the bottom. Great. Now we've got to do the whole head part of it. So I'm going to take the head of mine apart so we can see how it works. So there's a pencil that I've put through. I'm going to set this off to the side here. There's a pencil that I have put through the head, which is, it would be pretty mean, except that this is just a tea box, so it's okay. Like so. But I'm going to take that apart, take it out of there. Because for your other box, whatever box is going to be the head of your robot, you need to cut off the bottom. So if it's got flaps like this guy here, and this is actually the next step also for the robot one. So whether you're making the non-robot or the robot, your head needs to have a totally open bottom of it. You see that on this robot? It's got no flaps there. So that's what we're going to do regardless of whether you are making the robot little bot or the non-robot little bot. We'll call it maybe the puppet little bot. I feel like I'm saying robot too much. It is a robotics webinar after all. But so that's the next thing you'll need to do whether you're making one or the other. So I'm going to cut the flaps off of my head. My head box. Cut the flaps off of my head is something that you get to say when you're making things. Which you don't get to say in your normal life as much. Okay, so I'm cutting all the flaps off of my head part. What other kind of boxes are you guys using? I'd love to see. Aria, can we, oh, it looks like you might be working on something, Aria. Do you have any questions or anything? Are you doing okay?
Yeah, I didn't have any questions.
Oh, okay. What kind of box are you using? Looks like you covered yours with paper too. That's really smart.
Yeah.
What kind of box is it?
I'm using a biscuit box.
I like that. That's great. Got a biscuit box. Let's go up to you, Grady. What kind of box are you using? Let's see. A popcorn box. You got to unmute yourself though. Sorry. Thanks, Grady. Grady's mom.
What is it? Popcorn.
Popcorn. I love it. So is that going to be the body of yours or the head of yours?
Head.
The head. Okay, show us the body. Do you have a hole cut in the body? Perfect. Beautiful. Love it. Yes. Now hold up the head. All right. And so for your head, you're going to want to cut the flaps off of one side, and that's going to be the bottom of your head, okay? So cut all those flaps off, and that's going to be the bottom of the head. All right? Anybody else want to show off where they are in their process? Oh, Connor and Sophia. Yeah, let's go to you guys. Oh, unmute yourselves, though. You're muted.
We're using tissue boxes.
Smart. All right. So I am going to.
I think we had a question.
Oh.
From Leila.
Oh, let's go to Layla. What was your question, Layla? Can you unmute?
This one has a lid.
Ooh, that's cool. Is that going to be the body of yours or the head of yours?
Well, show her your other box.
Yeah, let's see your other box there. Okay, so do you want the Kleenex box to be the head? And then the shoe box to be the body?
Yeah, but Mama, I don't want this strap.
Oh, that
you can
flap
ask
is
her what to
really
do with the
easy to deal with. Yeah, just tape that flap closed, Layla, and then that'll be the top of your body. So if you tape that closed, you can even cover it with tape. Like you maybe saw Heather do that, or you saw someone else did that too. Aria did that.
Could we do it like this?
Yeah, you could do it like that. Yeah, you could cut a hole in whatever you want to be the top. That's really smart. Yeah. Good thinking, Layla. So she didn't have a side on one of her. Oh, go ahead.
I'm gonna cover the like truck and the.
You're gonna cover it up with tape. You're gonna cover what's on the box up with tape. Smart. I like that. All right. So if we go back to our design here, again, if you've got the robot version, you've got a box with a motor sunk into it, and then you've got a head, which we're going to come back and address in just a second. If you're making the non-robot version, you've got a box with 2 holes in it, and you've got a head that you've now cut the flaps off of. And that's for both of us. Cut the bottom flaps off. Can we mute our noisy person, Matt? Thank you. Okay, so if you're making the non-robot version, so I'll put that one on screen. Where's his head at? There it is. So this is for the non-robot version. So I'll put that in the upper corner so you know which one we're working on. So for this one, the next thing you'll want to do is you'll want to poke some holes in the side of the head. Poke one over here and one over here. And that's going to be for through. So you could, and I'll do this on this box, but then I'm going to kind of switch it around and also use this box for my robot one. So I'm going to poke a hole, and you can poke a hole with a blade like this by like cutting an X. That's a good way to poke a hole. Or you could also like use a sharpened pencil, and provided you give it a little bit of support over here, you can like just poke it through if it's this nice thin chipboard. You could do that. And I want it to go all the way through to the other side like that. And I want those holes to be small enough so that as I turn my pencil, it's turning the box with it. I want those holes to grip onto that pencil. So that's your next step. If you're making the robot version, I'm going to kind of turn it this way. If you're making the robot version, we're going to need our second motor now. And I'm going to grab the body here. So I've got the body here, and we're going to need to snap a servo horn on there. And for this one, I like to use the round servo horn, but it doesn't particularly matter which one you use. So you can grab that round servo horn there and pop that on. Da, 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 da. And then this is just kind of a good pro tip. You can turn this, as long as it's not plugged into anything, you can turn that servo horn really easily. And I'm going to make a little note on like which direction that's pointing just with a piece of tape. So I'm going to cut a really straight piece of tape, straighter than I can tear. So there we go. I cut a really straight piece of tape. And right now I have my motor turned all the way one direction. So I'm going to put a little note on there. And now, because I don't want my robot to be looking this way all the time, right? I want my robot to be looking here and then to be able to look side to side here. I'm going to turn it so that that piece of tape is facing, this is going to be the front of my robot over here. So that now, the way that it can turn is it can go all the way this way and it can go all the way that way. But what I did by spinning it all the way one way, putting on a piece of tape and then spinning it a quarter turn or 90 degrees back is now I know that my robot, when I first plug it in and when I first start programming it, I know that it can look front and it can also look side to side. Okay, so that's that first portion, or that's how to like get your motors set up so that they'll face the right direction. Now I can take that off. Don't need that anymore, because now I can, is this the next step, Matt? Matt's made this. Matt's pretty familiar with this robot. Oops. Matt's pretty familiar with this design, being a robot himself.
Yeah, that's pretty much the next step. Yes, if you glue that on, if you glue the second servo on top of the first servo, you should have it. I might recommend using those servo screws if you plan to keep this robot alive for a while.
That's true. I've run into that problem too, that especially because if you're using bigger boxes, the heads can get kind of heavy and like wobbly. So you might, if you've got them handy, here it is. If you've got them handy, you might grab the little itty bitty black screw that's in there. Normally I would say that you don't really need these servo screws very much. But if you've got that little black screw, thanks, you might screw that in there. I'm not going to keep my robot together for very long, so I'm not going to worry about putting that screw in, but you might put that little black screw in there and just screw it on. You can just use your fingers, and then when it gets tight enough, use a screwdriver. You can do that. But now we've got to glue this other servo horn on, and this step really is best with hot glue. You could try it with tape, but it'll definitely be a little bit of a struggle. This one's easier and better to do with hot glue. So I'm just going to refocus my camera here so you can see a little bit better. So now I've got, and I'm going to draw on some arrows. This is front, like so. Front. So this is the top of my body, and that's the front of my robot. Now, to get this servo that we just put on, this is what gets the robot's head to turn side to side. But the next servo we put on is going to get the robot's head to move up and down. So the way that you glue this one on is that you glue it on so that the little white part, or the part that's actually going to turn, is going to face the side. And this is where this is like the most likely step for people to mess up on. So glue that on so that your servo horn thing is facing the side there. So I've got a hot glue gun here, and I'm going to do this step. And it's okay to use hot glue when you're done, especially if you keep it out of that little center circle. If you just put it around the edge there, I'm actually going to put it on my other motor first. It's really easy to take off. Another good tip, if you want it to be really, really easy to take off, is to put a little bit of tape around your motor, like so, and then it'll be extra easy to peel off when you're done. Because then the tape peels off really nice, but it stays on there really securely while you're making stuff. So I'm going to put some glue on there, and I'm going to glue it on so that my second motor is on top of it, like so, and it's facing the side. So it's not facing the front, it's facing the side. So here I go. And grab my glue. Oops, I'm going to hit my camera. Just a little dot there, there. There we go. Get some nice hot glue strings coming off of there. And I'm going to glue it on so that it's facing the side. There we go. So that's that next step. So kind of to prepare for that step, you do the thing we did with the tape to make sure that your motor is now, your bottom motor is facing front, and then put your other motor on so that when you put your servo horn on, and again, you can use any style of servo horn that you want. I'll use the little airplane arms for this next one. That, so that's facing the side. So I'm going to let that cool and dry while we finish really the last step of our puppet one. But let me check in with everybody. How's everybody doing on your robot one? How are we doing? Pretty good? Okay. If you have any questions, make sure you raise your hand and let me know, okay? Good. Connor and Sophia are like, we got this. Let us run free. We've got this. Okay. So coming back to our puppet version, our non-robot version. So you've got your holes poked in the sides of the head, holes that are big enough for a pencil to fit through. But it's not just that the pencil has to go through the head, the pencil also has to go through the neck, which is the paper towel tube part. And this is why a paper towel tube is really useful in here, because you want it to be long enough to go through the body. Oh, that's the top. There we go. Made that mistake last time too. Suddenly there was a bow tie where his pants should be. Okay. So there we go. So it goes through the body, and then it needs to go up through to the head as well, like so. I'll zoom out just a little bit. And so I'm going to poke a hole in the top of here. I'm going to poke 2 holes in the top of this so that the pencil can go through the paper towel tube as well. And this is really the final step here. So I don't want to do it right up near the top. That's too close. It'll just tear through. I want to go a little further down. Poke a little X. You can poke a hole however you want, really. Just make sure that they're directly across from one another, like so. And then I'm going to use a sharpened pencil to get through there first. Now the difference between these holes is you want your pencil to be able to move freely through this one. So I'm actually going to move my pencil around a little bit, like that. Tear this hole just a little bit bigger. There we go. So this can really move really easily through there. There we go. Alright, so that hole's a little bit bigger. And so now the finishing touch on the puppet version is you put the neck up through the head, and you put your pencil through the box, through the neck, and through the box. Kind of one at a time. There we go. So that now the head can move, can turn up and down. As I'm turning my pencil, the box is moving with it. And looks like the hole that I made in this one is a little bit tight for this particular toilet paper tube, but I can turn back and forth. So I'm holding on to the body, and then I can turn the head and tilt the head and even move the head with just this pencil. That's what's controlling everything on my puppet version. All right. So now if we go back to the robot version, take that out, put that off to the side. Okay. Back to the robot version here. Put that back on screen. If I go back to my robot version, here I've got the body that I had built. And now, whatever you want the front of your head to be, remember, this is going to be the front, so that's good to remember. I want the front of my head to be here. So when we glue or tape this servo horn on, we're actually going to be putting it onto the side of the robot. All right? But if I put it just right there on the side, oh, and I'm noticing, and maybe you guys are too, as I move this around, my motor's falling out. So I'm going to put a piece of tape over it here to keep it in. So it stops wiggling and giggling around. There we go. Stay on, you neck, you. Stay where I put you. Okay. There we go. And I'm going to tear that so that we can still see what says front. Because that is very important to keep in mind and to remember when you're making your little bot. Always important to remember what is front. There we go.
Stacy's going to have to step away from the classroom. Thank you, Stacy, for joining us.
Thanks, Stacy. Can't wait to see what yours turns into. Okay, there we go. Now it's staying on there. So you could just put a couple dabs of glue on there and just glue the head right to it. But look what happens. The head is kind of like offset off to one side. There, now I match it. So in order for it to actually be centered on there, we've got to put some spacers in here. So spacers are just a fancy way of saying extra pieces of cardboard. So I'm going to just grab some scrap cardboard that I have sitting around, which in this case is some little boxes, and I'm going to cut the flaps off of these boxes and figure out how many do I need. So this is sort of a math question, sort of. How many of these will I need to get this to be centered? I don't know yet. I got to cut some out and find out. So let's see. I'm going to grab my cutting mat so that I don't cut into my table. So I know that a lot of the folks here do have hummingbirds that they're working with. Have any of you guys made little bots before? Or is this your first little bot that all of you guys are making? Kimber has made a robot before. Have you made a little bot before, Kimber? Yeah, you have. And Sophia and Connor, let me go to you guys. Got to unmute though.
Okay. This is the one that I made before.
Oh, look at that. It's so cute.
She's very pretty.
I love that, Sophia.
And its head is programmed to go up and down and side to side.
That is great. That is awesome. Well, hopefully we're going to get a chance in just the next maybe 5-6 minutes or so to have other people have a chance. Even if you don't have a robot at home, you can program the one that we have got here in the studio because we have a couple little bots set up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to check to see if this is enough spacers. I have 3 spacers here. Not enough spacers? No, maybe a 4th one. Like that. That actually looks pretty good. So it looks like for me, 4 spacers is enough to get this to be pretty centered, which is great. So I'm going to glue these 4 pieces of cardboard together and use those as spacers to get my head to be centered. Because this is a good look for some people. It's not quite what I want for my robot. So Sophia and Connor, did you guys, when you made your little bot, did you guys use the tutorials that we had online to do that?
Connor hasn't made one yet, but this is his first time. But yeah, I used the videos, the
Cool.
step-by-step videos.
Cool. We're going to show people where to find those in just a minute. Okay, I've got my 4 spacers put together. And now, I probably, something to consider is, if I put it all the way up here, if I like mounted my box right here, I wouldn't have very much room to move. So I want to mount my motor basically just as far down on the box as I can. Because again, if I put it right here, it could go back, it could look back and forth, but it couldn't really look up and down. So I'm going to put this as low down as I can. So I'm going to put these spacers in here just as low as I can get them. All right, so right down near the edge of the box. So I'm going to glue them in there. Put a piece of glue. And then I'm going to put my spacers in right at the bottom. There we go. Ow, hot. I don't know if you guys know this, but hot glue is hot. Did anybody know that? Grady's like, I knew already. All right. And so then our last step here, just like we did with the other one, I want to kind of make sure that straight up and down. So right now I turned my motor like all the way one direction. So this will be like the robot kind of looking down. And then if I want it to look, so I'm going to make this like, since I've got these nice arms here, that's the robot looking down. This will be it with its head straight up, and that'll be it tilting its head all the way back like that. So straight up, looking down, straight up. So that I did basically the same thing I did with the other motor, where I turned it all the way one way. I popped my servo horn off and kind of put it back on there to make sure that it was facing the right direction. And then I turned it 90 degrees because I want straight up and down to be right in the middle of its range. So took it off, put it back on, turned it 90 degrees so that straight up and down is the middle of its range. And now for the final piece, oh, it looks like my thing came unglued. Now for the final piece, re-glue your thing. That's part of the job. Can't tell you how many times I have sat re-gluing things at conferences though, friends. This is like the life of a robot teacher. You spend a lot of time with your hot glue gun, thinking about the choices you've made. Sam's like, I know. This is the life. All right, gotta let my hot glue dry just a little bit. But then that's really, you know, the any steps beyond that are getting your wires out and plugging them in, and then programming it. So you might actually, if you want to, while I'm waiting for my hot glue to dry, you could also poke a hole in the top here, zoop, to feed that wire through so that it's not poking out of the side of its neck, and it can kind of feed it down through the body there. Just hide your wires. That's something that's always fun about engineering hummingbird projects, is thinking about like, how can I hide my wires so that you kind of can't tell that it's a robot. Looks like Aria has something she wants to show us. What do you want to show us, Aria?
I made my robot.
Oh my gosh! So look, she's turning her head. That's so great. Look at those eyes you drew. They're so funny. They're so cute. I've never seen eyes like that before, Aria. That's so cool. It's so cute. Matt the robot, what do you think of Aria's design that she's got here?
Oh, I think it's beautiful. I like the mouth on it too. I'm kind of jealous of your mouth.
Yeah, because Matt doesn't have a mouth, and yours does, Aria. That's pretty great. That's pretty great. What was your favorite part of making that project?
The eyes.
The eyes. I think they're pretty phenomenal. That's pretty great. Who else has one that they want to show off? Looks like Layla, you're just putting the finishing touches on yours. Let's go take a look at Layla's and then Grady's. How about you, Layla? Show us where you're at. Yeah, looking good.
This is the front.
That's the front. I love it. That's
I
great.
haven't done the eyes yet.
You haven't done the eyes yet. Well, hopefully Arya gave you some really good inspiration. You can draw them on now. How about you, Grady? You want to show yours? Let's see it.
Hold on, you're done with yourself. So,
Whoa, Grady! That's so great. Two
I
Pop
use two Pop-Tart boxes.
You have the same favorite snack as me, I see, Pop-Tarts.
I love Pop-Tarts.
Me too. Can you show us? Can you hold yours up and show it again? That is so cool. I love how the head can move side to side. I love how you turned the bottom Pop-Tart box kind of on its side too, so that you're using like the different dimensions. Yeah, I thought you were using popcorn. Changed your mind?
Because it couldn't go like this.
Ah, okay. So it was not having the kind of movement that you wanted.
But
Probably
can't
because
go
that
like
box was skinnier, so it just didn't have as much space to move. And the Pop-Tart box is a little wider, so it's got a little bit more space in it. That's smart. That's smart. Well, while folks are finishing their robots, especially if you were one of the folks that doesn't have a hummingbird at home, or really if you were too, we're going to take a look at how to program our little bots that we've got now that I have sort of a graveyard of little bot parts over here. sort of looks crazy from the top here. But I'm going to kind of scooch these things off to the side and bring our little bots on camera as you guys finish decorating yours and putting some finishing touches on yours. And I get a little bit more space for mine. There we go. This is I had a parent ask me recently, how do you deal with the mess of doing maker projects all the time? And the response is just like, yes. Yes, there is a mess involved in making stuff, but the way you deal with it is you clean up after every time, you know? Okay, so scooch a couple more things off to the side, make sure all of my sharp pointy things are out of the way so they don't poke me. Great. Ooh, this robot's ready to go. Little robots. Ooh, I like that they both turn front at the same time. Okay, so who would like to program these robots here? We're going to do that in a program. Let's see. Are we going to do that via Zoom, Matt? Okay.
Yes, we could do that via Zoom.
So we have Matt, our robot, back there, also logged into Zoom. You can't see his screens right now, but he's also logged into Zoom. So there's somebody in here named Matt C. And so Matt C., the way that we're going to do it today is a little bit easier than we've done in the past. We're just going to give you control of Matt C.'s computer through Zoom. So raise your hand if you'd like to program these two robots right here. Let's see. How about, let's go with Kimber, and then we'll give you a chance next, okay? So, what we're going to do, you probably have to do it from your computer, Matt. And I may need to give you permission to share your screen. Do I need to do that?
No, it looks like I have permission to share my screen.
Okay. So what we're doing here, and we actually just talked through this last Friday for people who tuned in, Matt C is sharing his screen with us here so we can see what the code is that controls these two little robots. And I'm actually going to reposition one of our cameras so we can have a little bit closer view of them. And so what Matt's going to do from there is he's going to, I'll talk louder so y'all can hear me. What he's going to do from there is he's going to give Kimber, who's going to code it, he's going to give Kimber remote control of his screen so that Kimber, with your mouse and with your keyboard keys and stuff, you can control these little robots. So you'll want to make sure that you kind of have that screen up so that you can see them, kind of off to the side at least. There we go. So, Kimber, do you have remote control? You can unmute so we can hear you, if that's all right. Do you have remote control of Matt's screen now?
It certainly looks like she does.
Pretty sure I do.
All right. So start hitting keys. Hit the right arrow or the left arrow and see what happens.
And you do have to make sure that... Oh, there it is.
I saw one move.
Looks like you hit the left arrow and the right arrow. Excellent.
There we go. Can you see the robot moving, Kimber?
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
Got this one here. Very nicely done. Let's see what M and what's the other one? N? So we're controlling the back and forth, the head going back and forth. Can you other folks on Zoom, can you see that too? If you come find our screen here with the little box, can you see that? Yeah? Thumbs up. Good. Okay. Kimber's having a full-on conniption over here. This is great. So, Kimber, hit the space key, and let's see what the space key does. So the space key turned them both back to center, right? Okay, mess them up again. Use your arrow keys and your M and your N. Mess them up again, and then hit the space key. Okay, so the space key turns them both back facing forward. And if you see the codes that we gave you down below with the right arrow, left arrow, the M and the N, those only control position servos 1 and 3. So keep those how they are, but look up top, you also get to control 2 and 4. Now, position servos 2 and 4, I'm going to come back to my camera so you can see my head. So far, we've only been controlling the bottom motor on both of these little bots, but you can control the top motor as well that turns the head up and down. This is a nice little neck stretch, actually. I highly recommend y'all do it. But that's motors 2 and 4. So on that space key pressed where it says Hummingbird B position servo 2 at 80 degrees, change that number to something else.
Make sure it's not too much bigger or too much smaller than 80, though.
Yeah, because Matt knows all too well what happens. Yeah, see where it says 1 at 80 degrees and 2 at 80 degrees? Right where it says space key pressed, because we can see your mouse. Yeah, click in there where it says position servo 2, 80 degrees. So not 1, 2. Yeah. And change that number to just something that's a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller than 80 degrees, and let's see what it does. And then hit space key. Okay. Hit space key. Oh, you'll have to click outside so that your mouse isn't in there anymore. There we go. Oh, did you see what this did a little bit? It looked up a little bit. So 80 degrees was flat here, and 90 degrees made it look up a little bit. How about, you've got maybe like 5 more degrees you can go up until something terrible happens. Try that. Yeah, hit spacebar. Let's see what happens. Ooh, she went up all the way, and if I bring her close to the camera, you can see the back of her head is now hitting the body a little bit. So try to make her head point down now. So for position servo 2, instead of 100 or 90, make it go a little bit down, a little bit less than 80. And then we're going to go over to Connor and Sophia and give them a chance. Okay, let's try 50. Let's see what happens. Hit space key. She looked way down and the box hit on the front. So this is one of the tough things with this project is even though the motors can go 180 degrees and they can go 180 degrees back and side to side like this, they have a limited range of motion in the up-down side of things. All right. Nice job, Kimber. That was good. Can you put position servo 2 back at 80 degrees, please? Thank you. And then we're going to give control over to, and hit space bar for us so that we're both back at 1 here. There we go. I can feel the motors, like when I'm touching this robot, I can feel the motor straining, like trying to go further too. All right, so what Matt's going to do now is he's going to give control over to Connor and Sophia. And so Connor and Sophia, you guys are going to get to play with your right and left arrow keys and your M and N things. All right, will you guys unmute yourselves, Connor and Sophia?
When I made it, and I made it go too far back, then the head just flung off back.
Yeah, that
I had to re-glue it on.
It's kind of hilarious. It's a little bit sad, but both things can be true at the same time.
And it happened when I was showing my brother that it could work.
Perfect. You're like, see how well this works? Oh no, it's broken. That's always how that happens. So Connor and Sophia, Matt, I think he just gave you guys remote control of his screen. Yeah. So you guys can move stuff now. So it looks like position servo 1 and 2 control the one with the flowers on its head.
Whoops, I accidentally took that off.
That's okay. You just put it back on. There you go. Hello, hello. And position servos 3 and 4 are on this other little bot with the bow tie over here. So 1 and 2 are this guy. This.
No.
No. So we've got the right arrow and the left arrow. Let's can you guys go into see the blocks all over on the left side? How there's like blue ones and purple ones that say looks
Yeah.
and old control blocks at
Go
the
to
top.
control.
Yep. And grab the one that says when space key pressed. Drag that out. Yep. And see the little black arrow next to space? Hit that little black arrow where it says when space key pressed on that block you just dragged out.
Ah, see.
Yeah, hit that and go make it be the down arrow instead. Yeah. And now let's build a program for this robot. This robot has motors 1 and 2. I'll kind of rearrange these. So let's build a program for this robot with motors 1 and 2. So go back to motion. And see at the bottom, yeah, Hummingbird, grab that one. Yep. Drag it up and snap it on there. But we're using Hummingbird B because we've actually got 2 hummingbirds attached. So make that Hummingbird B. And then let's build a program where when you hit the down arrow, it looks down. So this is the down one is position servo 2. So not 1, but 2. So where it says Hummingbird B position servo, yeah, change that to number 2 in there. Yeah. And then let's figure out what angle makes the head look down. Try to type some different numbers in there.
I think it's less.
Let's find out. Let's try 70. Okay, now hit the down arrow. See what, oh, there you go. That's down. That's pretty good. That's great. So then we could also grab like the up arrow and make the head look up for this one. Yeah. Nice programming, you guys. You guys are doing great. This is a Kimber, Connor, Sophia collaboration. Loving it.
What am I doing again? Here. Yeah.
Hummingbird B. Position servo 2. And then what angle do you think is going to make it look up?
Maybe change this to B.
And the reason you need to change it to Hummingbird B is because Hummingbird A is controlling my head.
Is controlling Matt the robot's head. And he doesn't want you to control him. He is
Ooh, let's control him.
so much power. You're sick on the power, I can tell.
Trying to go up until about 80. Wait, 85.
Try it.
95. Yeah, sure.
I love the conversation you guys are having. All right, now try hitting the up arrow and see what happens. Oh, there you go. She looked up. Now hit down and up and down and up, and let's see what happens. Very good. You got it to nod its head. Yes, nice job. All right.
It also kind of looks like it's eating because it kind of looks like a mouth.
It kind of does, Mom.
Like it's opening its mouth, and now
Oh, this kind of reminds you of a mouth. You could design your little bot so that could be like a mouth. That would be really fun.
Oh, that's very clever. I
That
like
would be
that
really
idea.
fun to do, Connor.
Yeah,
All right, Matt, can you stop sharing your screen?
absolutely.
So we're going to finish out our webinar here. Awesome. So, that was some really great programming, you guys. We've never actually showed on a learning webinar before how to program via Zoom, how to do remote coding via Zoom. That was a new thing that we just got to show this time. We showed you how to do it on Friday, but we're actually showing you doing it today. So that was really fun and really, really easy too. You as a teacher don't have to know too much about programming to set that up, and it gives your students a chance to try stuff live wherever they are. I know Connor and Sophia are a couple 100 miles away from me right now, and they were controlling these robots in real time. Same thing with Kimber. She's probably a couple 1,000 miles away from me right now, and she controlled this in real time too. So a couple things to kind of play us out on. I've got such a mess. I have to rearrange some things to get to my who's-its. There they are. Okay. So, final things, everybody, are here we go. We would love to see what you guys made. We would love to see what you guys make on social media, so you can share it on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook. You can tag BirdBrain. You can tag that's at BirdBrain Tech or hashtag Hummingbird Kit as well. And if you have any questions about what you're doing, you can feel free to email us, info@birdbraintechnologies.com. And finally, if you haven't checked it out yet, you should definitely check out our Robotics at Home page, because that is where you can find the thing that Connor and Sophia were talking about, plus all of the other resources. They're all kind of linked through that page there. So actually, if we can navigate there real quick, Matt's going to take us there and we're going to take a look at that website. There are all kinds of really cool things, including how all of our live classes that are coming up. All right, I'm going to navigate over there. Thank you. So all of our live classes that are coming up, can I have the mouse?
Sure.
Thank you. Me and Matt share a mouse. We're very close. So you can go to our live classes and see what live classes we have coming up. You can take a look at some of our things that you can use to learn Hummingbird at home, how to program it with a tablet or with a computer. There's these great videos that are here for you to learn how to program that, and it's me and Matt. And we even talk about the little bot in these courses. So that's really easy to learn how to do. There's also, if you want to do some remote coding while you're at home, there's this great page, Remote Robots, so that you can code. These robots that are on this page are actually set up in Dr. Tom Lauer's house, he is the owner and founder and CEO of BirdBrain. So you could go in and program the dragon, and here on this page, you can connect to it and get that dragon in Tom's house to do something, which would be really cool. Or the gnome or any of those other things. And the same thing, all of this with Finch as well. There's some resources online to learn to use Finch. And finally, if you just want to find, really quick, if you want to find that Littlebot tutorial, you could search a Littlebot, and that is the first thing that comes up, is the Littlebot tutorial on our build page. So here's a step-by-step process, which is the same thing I went through here today, but it's wordless and soundless. So it's really useful if you want to learn to make a Littlebot yourself. And there's even a cool video on this very first slide where Matt, you get to see what Matt's human face looks like. It's pretty crazy, but that's what it looks like. And he takes you through a bunch of different variations on how to make a Littlebot in a bunch of different ways. So I really like that video as well. So all of that is on our website, and you can get to all of it by going to this website here, birdbraintechnologies.com/robotics-at-home. So we hope to see you on our next webinar on Thursday. We'll be back doing another student-centered webinar and doing some more remote coding with little guys like this and others. And then on Friday, we're doing another teacher talks, where in this teacher talk at 2 o'clock on Friday, this is all Eastern time, we'll be going over kind of the projects we did this week and really thinking about how to teach them. How would you teach with Littlebot? How would you teach with our other projects? And looking forward to next week as well. So as we go out here, I'd love to take a look back at Heather and I forget your daughter's name. I'm so sorry.
Is Autumn.
That's right. You guys want to show us what you made?
Sure. Ours is named Wally. It's a bit weird, but he is, because we can't lift his head up because we didn't have the long enough toilet paper roll.
Yeah.
He just shake his head right all the way around.
Wow. Wally. That's really cute, you guys. I love your design. That's so fancy. Nice work. Does anybody else want to show theirs off before we end our Facebook Live?
I saw Grady had some really cool eyes.
Grady, did you add some eyes? We want to see them. We're coming to ya. Oh my gosh.
For herself.
Yeah, you don't need to put those on the robot. You should probably just wear those.
Ah,
Those are so cute. Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. All right. Well, we'll end our stream here. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. I had a blast, and I can't wait to see you again on Thursday. See you then. Thank you so much for joining us today. We can't wait to see what you make on social media. On Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, you can tag @BirdBrainTech or #HummingbirdKit, or you can even tag me. If you have any questions, be sure to email us, info@birdbraintechnologies.com. We can answer questions about purchasing, about learning, about teaching, and about professional development. If you haven't been there yet, be sure to visit our Robotics at Home page. There you can purchase a kit for yourself, learn how to use it, and even join one of our upcoming webinars. Until we see you in class, thanks for watching from everyone at BirdBrain Technologies.